Our speaker today is Peter Panagore, a really interesting guy. Even his hobbies are interesting. Hobbies like mountain climbing, sailing, stilting, walking on very tall stilts. Now, you may have noticed all these activities that I mentioned carry a certain intrinsic degree of risk. Well, he's living proof of that too. When he's not engaged in mountain climbing and sailing, he has been a ordained clergy, pastor, for many years, and he has had radio and television spiritual broadcasts for many years. He comes to us all the way from Maine, and he is, of course, a near-death experiencer. Please welcome Peter Panagore.
Thank you, Lloyd. So a little promo before we begin. dailydevotions.org. dailydevotions.org is the location of the TV program that I've been blessed to run for the last 14 years. I'm the fifth minister. It's the oldest religious broadcast in America. Started in 1926 on AM radio in Portland, Maine. Switched to television in 54. We've been a 2-minute broadcast 7 days a week during the morning news on 2 NBC stations in Portland and Bangor for a long, long time, until very recently when the station has a new owner and we've been reduced to the pauper's place of Sunday mornings only. But it's been a great opportunity. I can't believe I've been able to be blessed to write and produce for a living for 14 years with very little oversight. Every single story that I tell is all around the love of God for us. It's all about God is love and we are beloved. I've produced 1,656 2-minute broadcasts, and if anybody's really paying attention, it's only one story told in 1,000 different ways, which is similar to this morning. This morning is going to be a prose poem, and you may shut your eyes and listen if you wish. Keep your eyes open if you want to. But it's the same subject. God is love, and you are beloved. This is from the Gospel of John in the 13th chapter. At the Last Supper, when Judas had gone out, Jesus said, "Now the Son of Man has been glorified, and God has been glorified in him. If God has been glorified in him, God will also glorify in him, in himself, and will glorify him at once. Little children, will be with you only a while longer. You will look for me, and as I have said to those others, I say now to you, where I am going right now you cannot come. I give you a new commandment, that you are to love one another, just as I have loved you. You should also love one another. By this everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." This sermon, this prose poem, is called Lovely. James Joyce and Ulysses wrote, "Love loves to love love." Why? Why does love love to love love? And what are you made of? If you dig down to the downest sound of you, the start of you, the ground of you, what are you made of? What winds you into beingness at the core of your center? What are you? Why does love love to love love? Why won't love love to love love? So what is love? Have you felt love? Given love? Gathered love? Even the loveliness of loving love? The treasure you have heard is like a sound of music to your soul, and that sound is love. Love given and love gathered into one thing. That is your heavenly treasure. Given and gathered, it is collected right here in the center of your heart. Tap, tap, right here. Give it, gather it. Both create the treasure of your heart, the giving and the gathering, that treasure you carry with you. And this is your heavenly currency. This is your one commodity. This is your treasure. Why? Why is love treasure? In whose image are you made? Thus saith Genesis, you are made in the image of the Havye Vavye, the YHWH, the unpronounceable non-name, not the word God, but love itself. You are made in the image of the incomprehensible, the unimaginable, the unspeakable, the uncreated creator of all things, in all things and through all things, always present in the now, but not a thing, beyond all things. You are made in the image of this God, and this God is love. This God is love. Love unimaginable, love unpronounceable, beyond all things and in all things and is all things. This love loved the universe into being at the beginning. Love loves to love love. Love in all things, love in human beings, love inside human beings, love at the core of self and the ground of being, inside human you. Being you as you are right now, beloved of the lover who makes you, you. In whose image? Love's image. The lover who makes you, loves you into being, and lets us love each other. And the love is the treasure. Little bits of love, or big bodyfuls. But beware, the bodyful, for with love comes grief, because love is grief's twin. And what surer sign of love is there, that when that one is gone, grief is felt in proportion to the love given and the love gathered. But take heart, dear hearts. Love arises and lasts forever and beyond forever, ever eternal, because the lover loves to love love. Lover with a capital L. And who wouldn't, if one could, love to love? We know love because we feel love. So define love for me. Put it into words in your mind. Doesn't love have 10,000 shades of gray and of rainbows? Name all the loves of love you have in your own life. Inside, name them. They are all the same, and each one different. How is it that to be when love inside ourselves feels superpositioned, two places at once, here and there? We know it when we feel it, even if we can't express it or struggle to say it. It's love. Think of this. The first came love, and then came sin, which gave you death and gave me death. But that gives me life. But love precedes all things, made in the image of the lover, you. The disciples said to Jesus, "Tell us how our end will be." And Jesus said, "Have you already discovered the beginning, that you are now asking about the end? For where the beginning is, there the end will be too. Blessed is the one who will stand at the beginning, for that one will know the end, and he will not taste death." And that's the Gospel of Thomas. Death is abolished by love, who has no beginning and has no end. You can stand at the beginning because your beginning is love. So stand in your beginning. Live there. Love from there, from the place of your origin. All love is one love and arises from the one love. There is no separate love between us. It's only one love shared amongst us. So love yourself, love God, love your neighbor, Love your children, love your lover, your mother, your father, your brother, love your dog. Love the loveless, love the beautiful, love the ugly in your life. Let yourselves be loved. Giving love and getting love, both are the one treasure. Those who know love know God, for God is love. 1 John. Our origin, our original, our core, and present center of our created souls and of our projected fleshy bodies is love. Our soul is made of love. Listen, our souls are made of love. Love is wound in. Love is where we are from, and love is to where we are going. And the treasure to collect here is love given and gathered. So go forth and love. Be free to love. Give love. Love to get love. Go forth, beloved children of the lover beloved, by the lover who loves you into being, now and forever. And know this, that the storehouses of love will never empty. There is always more than plenty, overflowing, ever flowing, with enough to give, and from giving, receiving, and from receiving, giving. So go forth to live in love, and souls of love are what you are. Souls of love is where you're from. Souls of love is what you will return to and discover for yourselves when this life ends. And you will find that that which you take with you is that which was given in love and gathered by love. Amen. I'll add and say, like many near-death experiencers, the message that I'm given to give is that God is love unending, forgiveness undeserved, mercy eternal. Fear not. Love as much as you can. And go home when you will. And you will find that you do not end. And that's when your birth begins. In this place here, it's transitory, it's illusionary, it's real enough to cause us suffering. But that ends too. And love is what you will find in a healing and wholeness when you go. And as for me, I've died twice. I long to return. The longing is something that was a gift and a curse. I can't wait to go, but I'll stay as long as I must. Every one of us is made of the same inner core being. The gift of God's love makes us who we are. It was said to me yesterday that any religion, any faith that goes against the God's law of love is a false faith and a false religion. St. Augustine said, love God and do what you will. And that's the byword, the motto of life. Love God, love yourself, love your neighbor, and do the best you can. And go home and know that you will be forgiven for the suffering that you caused through no fault of your own. That's just a matter of being created here. You're fully known every moment of your life. Nothing hidden, especially the love that you give and you gather. That's the essence of what I learned. It's the essence of what I pursue. That God is love and you are beloved. Every one of us. Every single one of us. No matter who you are or what you've done or what you believe, every one of us is beloved and known. Amen.
Wait. Would you repeat what God told you when you saw God at the door?
Which part?
The whole thing.
So, yes, I can do that.
You saw your life and you...
So I died ice climbing. I froze to death in Alberta, Canada in 1980. Long story I'll leave out. You can read it in the book. But when I died, I found myself, against my will, dragged from my body into a place of illuminated greater darkness. And I had no corporeality. I was no thing, but I was a conscious orb of self. I had 10,000 eyes or one eye. I saw every direction at once. I had no fear. I didn't know where I was, but I was unafraid. And in front of me a gigantic portal appeared, if I had a front, in this timeless place of no sequence and no language. And I touched this portal through which I could see. The covering was translucent and transparent at the same time. And I touched it with my being, and it was living, and energy flowed through it, life energy. And it infilled me. And at the moment that I touched it, I heard my soul name called, which I still hear, but it's unpronounceable by me. And in the calling of my name, I saw that my everlasting self is created being, made and wound of love. I saw that I had hurt people in this life. And I went through a purgation of fire, of love, a cleansing, where I witnessed all of the suffering I'd given to everyone in my entire life, intentionally and unintentionally. And I suffered their pain that I'd given them directly, times 10,000 times. It was a fiery, painful experience. But the voice that had no sound kept saying to me, I love you. I know you. I made you. I created you from everlasting to everlasting. I have always known you. There's nothing about you that I have not known. So this isn't news to me. And I love you as you are. And all beings suffer giving pain and suffer pain through no fault of their own, because it's the way your universe is made. It's not your fault that you're broken. I love you because I made you, and I forgive you. And I was infilled with beauty and love, truth and joy, knowledge beyond comprehension. And it was all one thing, not separate things. It was a oneness of blessing, a glory that infilled me and overflowed me. And I said to the voice, and I could see in every direction, but I couldn't see God. And I could see into eternal distance, but I couldn't see the end of it. And I said to the voice, am I dead? And the voice said, yes, you're dead. And I said, well, I can't die now. And the voice said, why not? And I said, well, because my sister had vanished when I was 14, and my mom suffered a terrible breakdown. And I can't take another child from her. That would destroy her. And God swept me in the blink of thought to see all of Earth all at once, and every human being on Earth all at once. And every human being had a veil. And the veil prevents all of us from seeing the glory of God. And God said, in the way that I love you now know that I have always loved you. And it's a love times a million, times a billion, unspeakable, pure, unattainable here. In the way that I love you now, you know I've always loved you, and I love every single human being in that way, now and always. And because of my love, you now know that all was well, will be well, and has been well. eternally because of my love. And you can stay because you know that now. That your parents, whose faces I could see in their suffering, you know that your parents in their death will be in this place of bliss, and all of their suffering will end. So whatever happens in their timeline between now and their death is immaterial. And in the end, they'll be in this blessed place, just like you. But I could see their suffering, and I couldn't let them live like that. And I said, do I have to stay here? And God said, no, you don't have to stay. I want you to stay, but you don't have to stay. And I said, if I go back, can I come back here? And God said, yes, you can come back here. I said, well, then I choose to live my life. And God said, you won't live your life, and sent me back. Like all near-death experiencers, I had no idea what I was setting myself up for by coming back. And I was pretty angry for a long time that I felt tricked. But I came to understand that it was a warning, not a curse. You won't live your life wasn't telling me that God was going to make me not live my life. It was a warning that that was a consequence of anyone who came back. I kept my secret for 25 or 30 years. I changed the course of my life. To the dismay of my family, I didn't go into the family architectural business. I went into divinity school. I went to divinity school to study mysticism, which is not what they teach. But I had a great dean of admissions, and she allowed me to produce my own course of studies, as long as I took all of the requirements, which I did. And I constructed for myself an understanding that I was not alone, that there's a long history of contemplative, spiritually transformed individuals who mostly did not have near-death experiences, but who were contemplative mystics and found the doorway into the divine through the practice of contemplation and prayer. And the first part was that I didn't feel alone anymore, and the second part was that I found tools to dive into the divine from here. I tried to run away for the longest time. I found that I could not. And so instead I chose to dive in. And that's been my pursuit. Practice of prayer in a variety of ways, some of which I talked about yesterday. But the bottom line is this for me: I know that I'm not from here. I know that you aren't either. I know that I get to go home again. I died a second time 2 years ago from a heart attack. My family has a genetic predisposition between the ages of 52 and 58. And my sister, who had vanished, died at 54. My dad would have died at 56 had they not life-flighted him and shot him up with an experimental drug. And I would have died, I did die at 56 2 years ago, despite my 20 years of previous vegetarianism and super fitness pursuits and daily exercise and meditation on a daily basis and yoga too. Didn't make a difference. And as I died in an ambulance on the way to the cath lab, which was an hour and a half from where I live, death, the angel of death, came to welcome me this time, as opposed to violently telling me it was taking me the first time. And I had time to think about my family and my children and my grandchild. We had some family complications that had I died at that point, had I accepted that, it would have left my daughter and my new granddaughter homeless, and my wife would have lost the house. And so I decided to stay once again for the sake of love. So here I am still. I said yesterday, I'll say again, that about 6 months later, about a year and a half ago at dinner, I said to my wife, "So what were you thinking that day?" She said, "Well, you've been telling me for 30 years that the first opportunity you get to go legitimately, not killing yourself, you were going to go." And so I was making plans. Because the doc told us that you weren't going to make the ride to Portland. So I'm waiting to go home still. And I still long for it, and I still pray for it. I can't say that I regret that I'm here, because I'm helping my kids and my grandkid. But they're going to be all well anyway when they go. And I know that that is true. And that while I'm helping them now, they would have been okay without me. So I'm sticking around till I get to go. And I'll end, unless you have questions, by saying what the monks told me in the monastery, at Trappist monastery that I was associated with, that those who pray for their early death are condemned to live the longest. And I have a long-lived family, in this timeline, 90-something years generally. But I want to say this, that you don't have a specific end point. You may be in a car wreck and it destroys your body so that you can't come back. But for those of us who choose to come back repeatedly, we learn that it's all this, it's not a singular plan. It's not a singular path. When I was dead, I saw 10,000 paths before me, all the result of every choice that I would make every single day. I think the path is love. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, it's giving love and getting love. That's the path. People ask me, what's your purpose in life? You've got a television show, you're a preacher, you work with the homeless. That's your purpose. No, it's not. Those are things that I do. Things I do to help. Things I do to give love. But I could have been a carpenter. I could have been an architect. I could have been unemployed. And all of that's immaterial to the practice of giving and getting love. Because that's the only thing I took with me. I took suffering across the great divide, but that was burned from me with love. And I didn't carry that into the bliss of heaven. I only carried love with me and myself. So what's your purpose in life, you may ask yourself? It's to love. That's it. It's very simple. And if you ask the 12 million near-death experiencers what unites us, it's that. God is love, and we are called to love. My preaching professor said I had a very simplistic, simple theology. He was glad of it, but he was kidding me about it too. I'm not a theologian, and I'm not a person of faith. I'm a person of knowing that God knows me and loves me. I'm a person of love. Which is not to say I don't cause pain. I do. And I'm sorry that I do. But I pray that love outweighs that. And I know that it does. No matter what I've done, no matter what I will do, love is far greater than me.